right, hi everybody, David Fogel back with you, CEO of the Symphonina Foundation, back with another Symphonina Foundation podcast. And we've got composer and pianist Charu Suri with us today. Charu, how are you?
David, I'm great. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Well, it's a pleasure, and you've got an album, Shayan, that's up for contemporary instrumental in that category in the Grammys this year, which I wanted to talk to you about specifically for the reason that it incorporates symphonic elements of flute and cello in it. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask you, I know you've done some work in orchestral arrangements previously with the New Jersey Symphony.
Yes.
2023, I think, something like Hooray for Bollywood. So you have a very diverse background in music. How'd you get into music in the first place?
So I was a classical concert pianist ever since I started learning when I was 5 years old, started performing when I was 7. And I actually loved the symphony. By the time I was 9, I was the kid who was going to all the symphony orchestral concerts, apart from playing solo piano, and taking the scores with me and reading and transcribing. And by the time I was 9, I was able to write a full symphonic score out and transcribing it. And then I had a big career as a concert pianist early on in India and then later abroad. And I did a lot of work and then came to the United States to Princeton University to further my music education. And I wrote a lot of music for the symphony and chamber symphony orchestra there, one of which Yo-Yo Ma and Edgar Meyer played in.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And so my love affair with music, the piano, and the symphony orchestra began very early on. So I actually think in symphonically when I write my work.
Yeah, do you hear it as you're composing it? How does it work for you?
Yeah, I do. I ended up in the jazz genre. I end up using different combinations of sounds for almost every single album that I do, just because that I hear things symphonically. As you mentioned, the symphony instruments like flute and bass and cello, for example, this album and some of the previous albums, I think of a lush, big sound that I can get from both the piano and from the surrounding instruments. And sometimes I've made the jazz trio sound like a symphony orchestra.
Yeah, that's so you were working on Hooray for Bollywood, if I had that correctly. You did the arrangement for, yeah. So how did you, I mean, obviously being from India, that's one way to make a connection, but how were you selected to do that? And what was it like? Did you actually go to the performance, of course, and listen to what your arrangement sounded like? Tell us the story.
So the New Jersey Symphony Orchestra concert came about because the curator of the show, Archana, runs a beautiful school called Culture Cool, and that's spelled Kultur, Culture Cool with a K.
Okay.
For Indian immigrants who live in the United States who want to give their kids and anyone a dose of their culture. And she's attended several performances of mine at Carnegie Hall. Mm-hmm. She fell in love with them and she pitched the idea of having a standalone show to the New Jersey Symphony Orchestra just of music by composers of Indian descent.
Ah, great.
Because I also, I run my own music school as well, and I've noticed the number of students and the number of people from the Indian diaspora getting interested in Western music is increasing, and it's a wonderful thing. But there has been no major symphony orchestra which has presented a standalone concert devoted to works of composers of Indian descent, and New Jersey Symphony said it's a great idea. I was selected as one of the composers on the basis of my raga jazz innovations, and we can talk more about that later.
Yeah.
But I orchestrated Bollywood pieces and also some of my jazz work for the entire symphony. It was great fun to work with them. I mean, they were just flawless to work with. And they presented this in a family-friendly program, which was sold out. And I do believe that Archana got an award for increasing the demographic and engagement of their audiences, because that concert attracted audiences that they would not have previously.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, as you as you know, the whole impetus for the Symphonina Foundation and for me making symphonies in the first place is when I went to the orchestra here in San Diego 7 years ago on a Sunday afternoon, and looking around, I was pretty much the youngest person there. I was 54. So
Oh my God,
so I was like not acceptable. We need to make sure that we can get more young people to come to the orchestra and enjoy it and experience all of the joy of symphonic music in all of its forms.
yeah.
So let's talk about making that genre crossover then to ragas. I know a little bit about ragas; they're your thing, so I'll let you talk about them. But let's see if you can fill me in on some of the blanks. I know it has to deal with making music from a set of notes and different note patterns, and also there's some improv aspects to it. But tell me about them.
Ragas are essentially modal scales. So when we think of Western classical music, most people learn 12 tone scales, 12 notes up and 12 notes down. Ragas are essentially an Indian equivalent of that Western 12 tone scale, but they don't always use 12 tones. Some ragas have 7 notes up, 6 notes down, 3 notes up, 4 notes down. There's over 500 permutations and combinations, and each raga, unlike Western scales, are supposed to be played at a certain time of day. The ancient Indian music, they believed that each raga had a specific energy, and to be hyper in the moment, it was linked, almost like, how Plato described music as being connected to nature. The Indians
Yeah.
did believe that. The ragas were connected to nature, and each one had a particular energy to be played at a certain time of day. But I never even thought that I would be doing that from a, you know, compositional point of view, because it was sort of simmering in my head. Later on, it made its way into my jazz work, and then I was improvising over the ragas, as one tends to do.
Hmm.
In Indian music, you start a piece with a raga. There's a long introduction. Sometimes the raga is rooted in a beautiful alap, which establishes the raga. That can go on for a while. And then you start the actual piece, and then you improvise over the piece. So there's improvisational elements of it. And but it's a scale. It's like a scale like a person would do E flat major or A
Hmm.
flat major, and it's a raga.
Or a half whole
So
diminished or whatever it might be.
or exactly. So
Yeah.
if someone goes to a concert and hears a certain phrase and set of notes, they'd be like, "Oh, that's this raga or that's that raga."
Ah, okay.
Exactly. So I use these ragas to compose my melody and harmonies and improvise over them. By doing so, because they're so unique and there's over 500 different permutations, combinations, the color, the sonic palette is so different. That's why I like to do.
How many ragas are on your Shayan album?
I have there's total of 7 tracks, and it's a
Mhm.
total of 6 ragas that I use. One of them is repeated at the end.
And how do you make a choice then? What was your feelings about why you picked? I mean, you have said 500 plus choices, right? So,
That's a
what's
really great question.
yeah.
Yeah, so Shayan is an album devoted to helping people sleep better.
Hmm.
And I wrote it for my mother, who was having some trouble, difficulty, sleeping after my dad died. And in general, I started noticing people were increasingly stressed. At least the last couple of years have been extremely and exceptionally stressful for a lot of folks.
For sure.
And I noticed a lot of people sacrificing sleep, myself included. I had a crazy, crazy touring schedule. So I picked beautiful, calming evening ragas
Mm.
that had lovely energies and harmonies, beautiful harmonic, that things that could lend themselves to helping people relax. So I encountered some amazing ragas like Nightingale, which is a piece I wrote based on the raga Bhageshri, is a pentatonic raga, which is, 5 notes, but it has this beautiful pattern that I use throughout the whole piece that mimics like a bird fluttering in and out.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I made all of those choices based on the theme of the album, which is to help people relax and sleep better.
That's perfect. And just for me and for our jazz friends listening, when you say a pentatonic, is it the same pentatonics that we're familiar with as major and minor pentatonics, or would it be five different notes that we wouldn't find in the major and minor
No,
pentatonic?
you would find them here, like in Raga Bhagashe, it would be B flat, C, E flat, F, A.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yes. So, uh, and that pentatonic scale, and there's quite a few pentatonics ragas.
Mhm.
But yes, they can all be acoustically relatable to on the piano.
Interesting. All right. So when you had the opportunity to record with three different flutists, Premnick Russell Tubbs. I have
Actually, four.
four.
Actually,
Okay. Tell me the fourth.
we have Premik,
Yep.
Ravichandra Kulur,
Yes.
Haruna,
Haruna
and
and
Ron Korb.
Ron Korb. Okay. And
Korb.
also great. And you recorded also with Tess from East Schumacher on cello.
Tess was like a divine angel on the entire album. I feel like she's the she's the cello divine glue that holds everything together. I mean, her cello work is so good that those people who haven't heard her say always stop in their tracks and like, very good album. Who's the cellist? And I'm like, oh, that's Tess. Like, yeah.
Yes. And I think, we've had Tess on, and also Tess has performed as part of our International Symphony Orchestra on Alex Unseth's Symphonina #2 this year. So we're both well aware of that. And I think part of the credit, at least on ours, on what we've received, I don't know in your case, goes to Christina Giacona and Patrick Conlon for recording too. So it's not just the player, it's the recording. And I don't know if they did that for you too, but if they did,
They
congratulations.
did. They did.
Yeah, so
They recorded and they were so good. And I do believe Shayan has the world's first raga-based cello solo.
wow.
It's it ended up being a duet with the dulcimer. I ended up making it a dulcimer duet with the Grammy-nominated Max ZT, who
Okay.
is so virtuosic. He's able to straddle both the East and the West worlds. But I believe Tess is going to keep playing that cello solo. I wrote it for her as a cello solo. So, and she did so much great justice to it.
It's wonderful. Are you going to be performing it live in any events coming up, either as part of the Grammy run up or after that?
Yes, we have a series of concerts and we'll be at the Grammy Museum September 28th
Mm-hmm.
presenting Cheyenne. Tess will be there, Jim Kimo West will be there, Premick Russell Tubbs will be there, and Anita Lerke. All of them who are on the album will be there to perform Cheyenne live.
And what time does that start?
That starts at 12 noon, and
Okay.
tickets, it's called Mosaic. So if you Google Mosaic
Mm-hmm.
Grammy Museum, you will pull up the tickets for that, and I'm hoping people come and listen to all of this live.
That
Yeah.
sounds good. What do you have planned for next year?
Very good question. There's lots of interest with or other orchestras, having this work done in a symphonic way. So I'm working on that. I do
Nice.
think Cheyenne is my most classical sounding album yet.
Mm-hmm.
It is a big departure from my typical jazz style. We're doing a lot of tours to take Cheyenne on the road. And I'm also planning to come out with another album next year, but that's something that I haven't really thought about too much because I want to get this season out of the way. But I have been touring a lot, and I'm planning to continue that touring schedule. We'll be in India at the big Ambani Center, which is, like the Metropolitan Opera House of India in
Mm-hmm.
February. And I just headlined Boston Jazz Festival. We're in talks about bringing the Preservation Hall band up to Boston Jazz Festival for next year. So lots of jazz festivals, lots of concerts, and then taking Cheyenne. I am hoping to work with a lot of chamber ensembles
Okay.
to do a chamber reduction of my work of Cheyenne to take it on the road across several concert halls. So lots of great things planned.
Yeah, I was going to ask you in terms of the logistics and planning. I've spoken with enough music directors and conductors now to know that, boy, they plan long in advance on some things, and it's
Yeah.
hard to get on their schedule. So I was just curious what your insights are as to how to get into a symphony schedule. And if you can't, how to make your own, so you have your own performance. Maybe the chamber orchestra is part of the chamber setting is part of the strategy there.
I think in terms of cost and logistics, it has worked much better for me to do it as a chamber version. I am approaching several, trios and quartets to do a redacted version. It just makes more financial sense than going and taking an 80-piece orchestra on the road. But I'll be in touch with several symphony orchestras also in Europe and in India. There's a beautiful symphony orchestra we have about taking it on the road. But Cheyenne, as it stands, it's a chamber ensemble. The number of people who are involved to be a chamber orchestra is 4 flutes, there's the cello, there's a violin played beautifully by Philip Vaimon, there's vocalists. And then at the very end of Cheyenne there's the reprise played by the Venezuela String Recording Ensemble, a quartet that comes at the end. So this is completely a chamber piece that has the legs to become an orchestral piece or remain a chamber piece in its form.
Yeah, and Philip and also the Venezuelan ensemble did great on your album. I don't want to leave anybody out. Everybody did great. Is there a better time when you're going back to India to perform this? Is there a seasonal thing that fits the evening ragas, or is that not a thing?
Yes, December is the concert season, so there's a lot of performances lined up in December. There's also, I feel like summer is sort of slower months, but there's lots of performances that happen towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year.
Okay. All right. Charu, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
You can follow me on all my social platforms, Charu Suri Music, and on Facebook, Charu Suri Trio, Trio, and then email me, charu@charusuri.com. And on my website, which is charusuri.com, there's the sign-up form if you want to stay in tune for all the concerts that I have coming up. So please sign up. And I hope I'll see some of you live in concerts.
Yes, as musicians, we always want to stay in tune. That's great. And we wish you the best of Shayan. Again, that's submitted for contemporary instrumental in this year's Grammy music. And we're going to listen to some more of your great music on this album on the way out here. And Charu, if there's anything we can do for you at the Symphonina Foundation, just let us know.
Thank you so much, David, for having me. It's an honor.